Hello everyone, and welcome to Wounded on Sixes. This is my battle recap from a battle I had last night with my Tau against my friends Orks. As you can see, the Orks have gone home, but I'm going to go over the battle, the way I deployed, and how the battle went. I won the roll-off to deploy first, so my first deployment would be these stealth suits right here. I wanted to string these out so that my opponent wouldn't have a very good charge. I just wanted to hold this objective, which I considered my natural, seeing how it's right in front of this terrain piece here, and I didn't want to give them a good charge, so I just put one on the objective and then strung the rest of them out. The rest of my deployment looked like this. I put my Piranha here knowing that it would have a scout move. My thinking was that I would be able to move it up here or over here and kind of harass whatever is sitting on this objective over here. I had my Kroot Carnivores here, and they were going to be my main screening unit for the center of the board. So my plan was to drop them here and then move them ahead and screen them out into this ruin here to try to block anything coming up the middle from getting into my more juicy vehicles. Again, I also have another Piranha here. This one is really here to harass anything in the middle. Both of the Piranhas can force battle shocks at the end of their movement phase to units within range of the objective markers. So I really wanted to try to pick on that bad Ork morale with these guys. And I also want these three units here to be my screening units. So as you can see, they are the ones that are in the front. A Ghost Keel over here. It's kind of wide out in the open, but with Lone Op, it's really hard to kill and hard to get shots on because you got to be within 12 inches. I put my Skyray gunship right here, figuring he could just kind of move out and get a good line of sight on anything coming out of his main base and anything coming down this large line of sight corridor. I put a pair of stealth suits up here. My plan was they were going to kind of sit up on top of here and then guide whatever's coming down this alley. One breacher team inside the Devilfish. The Devilfish was really going to be assigned to trying to retake this objective over here. This Riptide was going to be covering this line of sight right here, so I put him right here. He'd also be my main objective placeholder since I get such a large range on his weapon. I put a unit of Pathfinders in this ruin right here. They're going to jump up onto the roof in turn one, and they're going to be able to spot anything coming through the middle, and they're going to be able to give me two guides as I need them, or guide two units. We then have a unit, another Breacher Fish here. This one is going to be assigned to retaking this one right here. And that's going to be its entire job, is to retake that middle objective or put pressure on that middle objective when we need it. I then have a Riptide back here. This Riptide is really going to either come, my idea was he was either going to come through here and provide further fire support for in here, or he was going to snake around and help support this objective here. I then also had another Ghost Keel here. This Ghost Keel, again, was going to try to basically take this objective and be the second line of defense behind these stealth suits. And then my third line would be this Riptide. So line, line, line. This really is kind of my weaker side here. These crisis suits end up dropping here turn two. They don't start here. So we'll go over when they come in, but they don't actually start on the board. My opponent is bringing Orks. He had a unit of Squig Hog Riders back here. He had a War Rig set up in here. That War Rig had 20 Beast Snagga Boys in it. He also had some Killicans in here. He had another unit of boys, 10 boys with a weird boy. He had a big unit of Beast Snagga Boys set up in here. Speedster Dragster, 2 units of Grots. He had a truck over here with knobs, and he infiltrated a unit of commandos right here. My opponent won the roll-off for turn 1. We're now going to move on to the pre-game scout move phase. I move my Piranha from here to behind this terrain piece here. He does have his commandos here, but my thinking is I'd rather him, if he charges, to charge my Piranha and not charge the Ghost Keel. As I stated previously, this unit of carnivores moves up and strings out along here to become basically a screen to everything that's coasting here in the middle. And this Piranha right here ends up snaking behind here and gaining cover and basically staying out of the way, because I didn't want to give him, you know, I didn't want to make it easy for him to kill both of my Piranhas in turn 1. We then move on to my opponent's first turn. They will draw some pretty good secondaries, and my opponent will cleanse here with his commandos, and he also gets capture or secure no man's land, which is a really good for turn 1. So he's gonna end up securing this for no man's land, so he'll get some points here, and he'll also have cleanse. He moves up his Killicans so that he can get a shot on my Piranha. He also jumps his unit of boys here with the weird boy right into here. Now, because my carnivores are actually lined up in here, he's not actually able to jump onto the objective because he has to stay within 9. So it was actually really good placement to have that screen here. And so he has to set up here. So the only way that he can then secure this objective for no man's land is to get that 9-inch charge on the carnivores that are lined up in here. And spoiler alert, he does not make that charge even with a command point reroll. So his boys have to kind of stay in this terrain piece here and now are staring down the rest of my army and not actually taking this objective. He moved his war rig to behind here and kept it at a line of sight. He did not move his Squig Hog Riders. He moved his truck up just a little bit. He moved that big unit of Beast Snagger boys into this terrain piece here, and the Grotz just kind of hung out, as well as his Dragster. My opponent's played me a couple of times before, so he knew not to expose himself to the Tau firepower. Moving on to my turn 1, I move everything up as you can see here. I'm going to go over what I did. So the Piranha moves up here, gets these guys to battle shock, and then fires his small arms at the commandos and his seeker missiles at the truck. He does nothing to the truck. I think he kills 1 commando. Then we have the Skyray. That's going to go into the Killicans that are sitting down over here. The Skyray completely whiffs. And then the Ghost Keel is also going to shoot at the Killicans, and he is going to do 3 wounds on one of them. So pretty crappy. I make sure that my Devilfish are here and here. I am basically staging them for the next turn. I don't want them to get charged, and I don't want to waste my Breachers early, so I'm kind of just staging them behind the points that I want. I did move the stealth suits up here. They're going to remain here the rest of the game, just handing out for the greater goods. The Pathfinders move up to the roof. The Riptide moves up and is now in position here, ready for that Hunter rig to come out here. It's going to get a piece of his ion accelerator. The second Piranha moves up here and is ready to get shots on the boys that are in this ruin right here. Kind of just shift the Riptide over. I move the Ghost Keel up, and then I move the stealth suits up. The boys here that are here with the weird boy are going to take a bunch of shots. They're going to get guided from here. They're going to take shots from here. They're going to take shots from here, shots from here, and essentially get whittled down and then get charged by the carnivores. And we kill all the boys and get the weird boy down to like 1 or 2 wounds. And that is essentially it. We don't charge over here. And one of the mistakes that I make in this turn is with this Ghost Keel. I move him out thinking that he'll be protected by this screen here and by these ruins here. The problem is that the Hunter rig here is going to drop a bunch of boys. They're going to run up and they're going to get a really easy charge on both of these units. So we're going to see that happen in the next turn, where these guys are just going to get run over by the beast snaggers that are in here. It kind of stinks that we couldn't disengage from combat, or like combat didn't end and we couldn't kind of like spread out here a little bit on our consolidation after the fact. So you know, we're gonna kind of be out of position sitting in this ruin here, but we're gonna have to be dealt with because we're like on the orcs, almost on the orc side of the board, and from here we can kind of threaten the Killicans and threaten his home objective if we want with these guys, because they're kind of like, there's really nothing but these Killicans over here keeping them from dragging into his deployment zone. So we're going to come back with turn 2. Start of my opponent's turn 2. He's going to jump the weird boy into the corner here. He's going to unload the boys here from the Hunter rig, and they're going to pile up all up in here. He is going to move this big unit of beast snaggers out and into the open here. We're going to try to overwatch him, but it doesn't really help. He's also going to dump his knobs out here from the truck, and they're going to move on to this objective. The Killicans are just going to kind of move up slightly. He's also going to bring around the Squig Hog boys from behind this terrain, and he's going to bring them up into here to get them in position. So we're basically wherever he's needed on either flank, he's going to have those Squig Hog boys to shoot out here. I already did the truck. The Grots are going to kind of just shuffle around here, and that's really the end of his movements. The orc shooting is pretty lackluster at this point, and they basically don't do much damage, and he comes in with some charges. So he's going to charge the Piranha with the knobs. He's going to charge the carnivores, which are kind of like over here at this point after the charge and attack to the boys that were here earlier. And he's also going to charge the 20-man unit of beast snaggers. He's going to split the charge, some into here, some into the Ghost Keel. He ends up destroying the Piranha over here. He ends up destroying the Kroot over here. And he ends up destroying both the stealth suits and the Ghost Keel. So he hits the Ghost Keel with his Beast Boss that has anti-vehicle and dev wounds, and does like 14 dev wounds to the Ghost Keel and just blows my man up. So that was the end of the Ghost Keel. I was a little tilted after that, but honestly, thinking about it, this was his Waaagh turn. This was the turn he called the Waaagh. And besides the Ghost Keel, if that would have been in a better position and like behind the terrain a little bit, we could have gotten away with losing a Piranha, carnivores, and a stealth suit unit for his Waaagh turn, which is really good because that means all of our big stuff is still alive. And, you know, the Ghost Keel was kind of my fault. It should have been tucked away more, but to me, pretty good screening in that turn. But, you know, my opponent was now really putting on the pressure. And at this point, he's going to have all 3 of the center objectives and really be putting pressure on my primary scoring. and also putting pressure on me in terms of his secondary, because he continues to score secondaries, as I'm only able to get like half of the 2 secondary cards that I'm drawing a turn. So he also now has a bunch of characters on the objectives for sites of power, which is going to be very difficult for me to try to displace. So this is where I'm going to try to use these breachers to, you know, take those objectives back, and each one of those breachers is going to have the Cadre Fireblade. So we're going to bring it back for my turn 2. In my turn 2, I move up a Devilfish, dump out the breachers, move up the Skyray, and I bring in some broadsides here from Strategic Reserve. I also move up the Ghost Keel. We bring up the second breacher. It drops all of its, or the second Devilfish, which drops all of its breachers. And then we bring up the Piranha there to get shots on the big unit of Beast Snagger boys that's sitting in here right now. We're going to drop our Fire Knife Crisis Suits, which are going to come down right here. 3 Fire Knives and a Enforcer Commander. The Pathfinders are going to jump down off the roof, come out here, and they're going to spam some for the greater good. The Riptide just kind of sneaks out here and now is going to have line of sight on that Hunter Killer that's in the middle there, on that line there. Stealth suits stay put. So these breachers in the middle kill like 2 of those 20 Beast Snagger boys. The Waaaaghhh saves were crazy for my man in the middle. So that was a pretty big disappointment there, and most of that unit is going to live. This one was much more successful. We whittled down almost all the knobs with the firepower from this and from this and from this. We also killed, I think, all if not most of the Killicans with the Skyray and the broadside. So a really good clapback on this side of the board, although the Commandos were still alive, and a knob and what have you was still alive as well. We also got a couple of shots on his Squighog boys over here. I actually think the Skyray got a couple of shots because the broadsides were able to put away the Killicans. So the Skyray took a pot shot. It killed one of the Squighog boys, which was pretty decent. As for the killer rig that was here, it got shot at by the Riptide here. It got whittled down to about, I believe, 5 or 3 wounds, somewhere in that range. And this unit here took a walloping. So it got fired at by the Riptide. It got fired out by the Fire Knife. It got fired at by these guys. And he had a couple of guys left on the objective. I charge with the Riptide and I tank shock, doing 5 mortal wounds, which whittles down the rest of his Beast Snagger boys and leaves his Beast Boss on 4 wounds. I then go into combat, 6 attacks, hit him 4 times. He fails 2 of the wounds that I put on him. They're 2 damage each and ends up dying. He pays 1 CP to allow it to fight on death. It puts a couple of wounds on my Riptide, but without the bonus to charging, can't do all those mortal wounds or the devastating wounds, and is killed. So at this point, I've now retaken this objective. I haven't retaken this objective, and I haven't retaken this objective. These guys actually probably were not as on this objective as they look here in my recreation. So that was the end of turn 2. We killed a lot of stuff. I'm feeling a little better about it. We're going to come back for turn 3. We move into my opponent's turn 3. He brings his Squighog boys up over here, getting ready for a charge. He also brings his Shock Jump Dragster over here to try to deal with some of these vehicles. What he's going to end up doing, he's going to charge the Skyray with his Commandos that are over here, and he's going to try to get the knobs and the Squighog boys into these breachers and into this Ghost Keel. The big unit of boys that I did not kill or put a lot of damage into from the breachers are going to charge the breachers, kill all of them, and kind of pile into the devilfish a little bit there. But they're going to kind of be stuck on this objective. I am now on this objective over here with this Riptide, so his hunter rig comes over and sits on the objective, shoots at me, ends up charging me. I end up having to fall back in the next turn, killing it, but still stay on the objective, and we'll keep that objective until the end of the game. So he ends up killing all but like 3 of these breachers and the Cadre Fireblade. He puts a couple of wounds on the Skyray, and he does a bunch of damage to the Ghost Keel, gets him down to about 4 wounds, but I have him at 4 wounds with both of his shield drones still, or both of his stealth drones still. So at my turn, I'm going to fall back with everything, the 4 breachers. This guy's going to fall back. We're going to shoot into combat with our Skyray, not do a lot of damage here, but our broadsides are going to finish off pretty much all of his Squighog boys and his Beast Boss on Squigosaur, as well as the Ghost Keel firing back in its fire and fade. The Ghost Keel here the Devilfish here in my turn is going to fall back, and we're going to just, again, from this top position, fire down into these boys, essentially killing almost all of them, I believe. There may have been a couple of left. I cannot recall at the moment, but they do a pretty good damage, as well as the Riptide also is going to shoot into them. The Pathfinders also move up and will put shots into here as well. And at this point, the game's gone on for a really long time, and we end up calling the game here. He had me on points, probably about 25 points at this point, and he still controls this objective and still controls this objective, I believe. So it's hard for me to say I'm going to win. I'm not going to get a Sights of Power here, so he's still going to be scoring primary. And although I've killed a lot of his threats, he still has the Shock Jump Dragster. He still has the Commandos. He still has some Grot units, and he still has his Weird Boy over here. So he's got a lot of like ways to stay alive and to also continue to score points. And there's only 2 turns left. Although the Tau are fast, I don't have much on this side besides this Piranha to get over here and kill stuff. We could have continued the game, and I probably would have brought it closer on points just because a lot of his threats were neutralized, and I still had, a damaged Ghost Keel, 2, Riptides, one of them being fully healed, the Pathfinders, the Crisis Suit, everything over here was still alive. So while I took punishment on the points front, there was still a lot alive. Part of the issue that I foresee with Orks, and which makes Orks like a natural predator of the Tau, is that they can hem you into your deployment zone, which is exactly what happened here. Like, I was just kept on my half of the board the whole game, and they just continue to score points. They also have so many units that it's hard to get those good rapid ingresses and deep strikes. So, it was kind of a no-brainer to put my Crisis Suits here, and they were in a great firing position here, especially for his infantry, and that's kind of why I brought the Fire Knives. But I really like to use these kinds of units to punish super aggressive armies that fall out of their deployment zone to try to hem me into mine and keep that middle ground where all the primary points are. Normally when that happens, I have the opportunity to drop, but because Orks have so many units, it's very, very difficult to do. So definitely going to keep working on the list, definitely going to keep playing against Orks. Sorry for the extra long video today, but I really wanted to get into the battle report that we had last night because it was a really fun game. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and if you stuck around this long, please like and subscribe, and we will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.